Summertime. It's August. Whenever you're watching this, you could be watching this in January. Uh, so welcome. I'm Al Ingalls. I'm the creator of the Pressure-Free Method. It's an on-the-go stress management method to help you interrupt the stress response so that your body and mind can function at a better level. And I sometimes will have someone come to me and they have looked at the symptoms or the traits of someone who's has high functioning anxiety. So that's the topic today. High functioning anxiety is not a clinical diagnosis, but a lot of talk has come up around it. And again, sometimes people will say to me, like it's almost like a self-diagnosis. I think I have this. Or they might actually be diagnosed general anxiety disorder, and they're trying to navigate that and figure that out with their therapist or just on their own. And so I thought I would just talk about it for a moment, share with you, what are those traits? So there's a wonderful little chart that I found on the internet that really explains it well. So I'm just going to kind of go over that chart and share that information because it may be something you're experiencing, or you may know someone who functions really well. Like they have a great job, they're doing all this stuff, but there's just a lot of underlying anxiety, what I call let's lift up the hood and what are we feeling inside. And so there are both positive characteristics and negative characteristics of someone who feels that they have this. The first is that you're an overachiever. I'd say 80% of the people who come work with me would describe themselves as overachievers, high achievers. They want to not just do one thing well, they really want all of life to work really well. And one of the negative characteristics that parallels that is despite the search for perfection, you never feel perfect. Like there's this overachieving, always trying to be perfect, or other people might think you're trying to be perfect. I've experienced that. Like, I'm not trying to be perfect here. I am trying to get better. And then someone will say, family members will say things like, "You think you're so perfect." I used to get that a lot. Like, I don't think that at all. In fact, I see all of my flaws, right? So that those two things are very interesting. Second, you're organized. So you tend to have things structured, really organized. Um, and and the negative of that is you need reassurance and you're constantly busy. So if you wear the busy badge, like look how hard I'm working, um, and you are looking for outside affirmation from people, validation. One of the things I love to tell my clients is that the only validation we need is our self-validation, not evaluation, but validation, and whatever's in our faith foundation. All of this out here, you'll probably never get the validation from another human that you would like to get. It just pretty much doesn't happen. So it's really yourself, how you value yourself inside. So organization, um, you're proactive. So you tend to pack way ahead of time. When I was running a symphony, my grants were usually done 2 weeks ahead of time, and I would get very annoyed, very annoyed if people was relying on to have parts of the grant done and they took a long time. That was very concerning to me. I like to be way ahead of the game, very proactive. Um, and kind of paralleling that is the negative side of that can be it's tough to relax because unstructured time feels wrong. Like you're so structured, you're so organized, you're so proactive. Um, and so when there's downtime, you might not have a good, it might not feel right. It might not feel good. It's like you have to keep your hands busy. That can also be something that's rather cultural within your family. Like I know with my mother, like her hands were always busy, but then she actually was really good at taking relaxing time and she kind of taught that to us. I can still remember our lake house and the whole front of the house was all windows and like it's a winter day and the sun is pouring in to my mother's bedroom and we'd just be like cuddled on the bed talking together or playing cards on her bed and just like really relaxing. And so I really credit her with with being very proactive, organized. She certainly was, but at the same time, having fun and relaxation time, giving yourself that. She's really good at treating too. So that can be helpful too if you just really cut yourself a break and just have some fun. You get to have fun. The next positive trait is that you're extremely helpful. Like you're right there to help the other person, to help the team, to get it done. You'll get it across the finish line. High controllers, we like to get it across the finish line. And then again, a negative characteristic on paralleling that could be you struggle to say no without feeling guilty. So sometimes we have to say no to things and that we're not going to help in a certain way. Get asked to do all the volunteering if you're a high achiever. And so certain priorities have to take place. Next positive, you're detail oriented. And I would say that a lot of people who are high functioning, they may be detail oriented on certain things and not others. I've seen that. And so that can be a thing. But are you detail oriented? That could be one of the positive traits. The other is you're constantly overthinking and ruminating. So you're detail oriented, but then you can have all these connecting thoughts happening constantly, and you overthink in your preparation, and you ruminate, like you're taking a lot of time on the same subject over and over and over again, playing things out in your mind, those kinds of things. Positive trait, you're passionate and ambitious. Like you really get into projects. You're very, you're just all in and you've got that level of excitement. On the other hand, you could struggle with uncertainty. So I would say that high functioning anxiety, we like to know what's going to happen next. And life is messy and people are messy. And there's so much uncertainty that is out of our control. Positive characteristic, you're loyal in relationships. You tend to be loyal in relationships. On the other hand, you could have very poor boundaries. So I think that's always kind of an interesting thing, talking about boundaries and setting boundaries, and hard boundaries for me are tough, for sure. So I like having discussions about that, making sure that we're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Have you heard that expression where you set a boundary, but actually some of the things that are actually really positive are no longer happening because you kind of went like this. So and that gets into when I find this fascinating. I'm going to share this for a moment to close out here. When was it? I want to say 2000, it was 2000 something, I think. Britney Spears came out with her song Toxic. I think that's the title. I don't know because I don't know her work. But before that song came out, therapists, people in mental health, people in general didn't really talk about other people being toxic. That wasn't a word. When I was growing up, no one would ever use that word to describe a human. Like, oh, they're toxic to me. It just wasn't in the lexicon. We just didn't use that word. That song came out and suddenly it's like put up a boundary because that person's toxic to me. I think that's really fascinating to dig into. It's caused a lot of rifts in families. And I'm not saying that's good or bad, but one thing I wonder is again, did you throw something good away when you put up the boundary? And that's something that I have seen over and over and over again, is that the good parts of something just fall away into nothingness when that word toxic comes up. So the other thing is noting that, okay, whatever this person's saying or doing has something that causes you to trigger the stress response. If you really want to clear that up, you've got to take a look at yourself and ask yourself, okay, what behaviors of mine or what ways of being of mine is causing this person to react this way? And do I have some of the same characteristics? Because we tend to be hypercritical about things in other people that we ourselves exhibit. So I love taking that one apart too, because I think we've lost family relationships and friendships and all kinds of things because it suddenly became part of of our culture to disengage completely from people that we might not have had to if we had kind of taken a more higher level approach to it, and maybe had some clearing conversations and higher level conversations to create really good relationships. So I've got some of those in my family, in my life, and probably you do too. So if you are exhibiting some of those negative characteristics of high functioning anxiety, the root cause of pretty much every single one of those is that you've triggered the stress response. So that is something to really to to really, how should I put it? To step back and ask yourself, is this the real me acting this way? Is this the real me feeling these things? Or have I triggered the stress response and my cognitive function and memory are down a bit? So I'm frantic. I'm obsessed about getting all the T's crossed and I's dotted. I'm gotta have everything way done ahead of time. I'm very perfectionist. Now, is that perfectionist? I even feel my stomach tighten when I think about it. Is that preventing me from really doing well? Because I have this tension now. And is the tension really, if we really get into it, just me trying to protect myself from the uncertainty so that I don't get fired from my job, so I don't lose this relationship. So there's, it's a huge thing to untangle. I say that, but in the same breath, I can say that if we don't trigger the stress response, we can actually figure it out. We truly can figure it out so much more elegantly than if we're caught in those releases of hormones that just keep all of this malfunctioning. So if you have any, if any of this like kind of pinged on you, if any of those negative traits pinged on you, I'd love to have a conversation. We can book that at my website, which is lingalls.com. When you click book a call button, it pops my calendars up. I have a 30-minute just quick call if you want to have a quick call with me, and I'm happy to have a 1 hour with you. So I have a whole different feeling about time now. And if you really want to dig into some things, I'm happy to have that time with you. On that note, I wish you a beautiful, pressure-free day.